Now, count on 2, live and local in the Low Country. This is News 2 at 4.
We begin with shocking pictures out of Paris this afternoon. The Notre Dame Cathedral on fire. The soaring spire above the building collapsed in flames. We're told the entire wooden interior of the 12th century landmark is burning and likely to be destroyed. That fire has also reached the bell tower and one of the iconic rectangular towers. The cause of the fire is not yet known, but scaffolding can be seen on the roof of the burning structure. The spire was undergoing renovation. We will continue to monitor this devastating news out of Paris as new information comes into our newsroom. Today we are honoring late Senator Ernest Fritz Hollings. The hearse-carrying senator and former Governor Hollings left West Ashley for Columbia early this morning. Hollings has been laying in state since about 9:40 this morning, and people have been going inside to the State House today to pay their respects to the late senator. His funeral will be held tomorrow at the Citadel. And News 2's Brendan Clark is in Columbia, as many of those people are paying their respects inside the State House now. He has been there all day, and he's gotten the chance to speak to some people who are stopping by. Brendan?
Yeah, I sure have, Sophia. Thank you. It was about 10 o'clock this morning when Fritz Hollings was brought up those steps and into the State House, where he will be until 5 o'clock as he lies in state. So many people stopping by today to say their final goodbyes and pay their respects to a man they not only call a good friend, but a great leader.
He not only didn't forget the people he served, he went out of his way to make sure they knew that.
Fellow lawmakers remembering Fritz Hollings and remembering the Charleston native fondly.
He told it like it was. I say about Gaffanese, talking in Gaffanese, putting it where you can understand it. Well, Senator Hollings spoke Gaffanese with a Charleston accent.
Hollings lying in state today in Columbia, those paying their respects and saying goodbye, saying we won't see another quite like him again in Washington.
There are not many people like him anymore. He's someone that knew right from wrong, who was very aggressive in trying to help people that couldn't help themselves.
The former governor and U.S. Senator, always with Carolina on his mind, fought poverty and improved education in this state, never forgetting where he came from or who he worked for.
And different things that he saw early on that a lot of people, they were kind of the back ways of doing things in South Carolina. He had a vision for the state.
Unlike politics in this day and age, everyone agreeing today Ernest Fritz Hollings will be missed.
He was a personality of unequaled interest to people and always had a quick wit about him and a brilliant man.
Good to see Mayor Bob Cole, as long as so many other people came to pay their respects. Governor McMaster did so early this morning. We'll have much more coming up on News 2 at 4 o'clock. We'll hear from people who knew him best. Of course, the funeral back in Charleston tomorrow. Former Vice President Joe Biden will deliver the eulogy. In Columbia, I'm Brendan Clark. Sophia, back to you.
Brendan, thank you for your live coverage. As always, we appreciate it. We will continue to cover and honor Senator Fritz Hollings through the funeral tomorrow. You can head to our website, counton2.com, to honor him with us. Just click the Hollings special tab on our homepage. The future of the Snowdon community is still in limbo after years of efforts to tap into the Mount Pleasant Waterworks sewer system. Today, those who live in Snowdon are speaking out, saying that Mount Pleasant Waterworks broke their promise to provide sewer service without annexation requirements. News 2's Taylor Murray is live outside of Mount Pleasant Waterworks Operation and Center and has more on the Snowdon community's concerns. Taylor.
The Snowdon community says that over a decade ago, they paid $50 deposits and issued easements to Mount Pleasant Waterworks in order to be included in a wastewater project for sewer. But now they say that the Mount Pleasant Waterworks is saying they have to annex into the town in order to get this sewer connection. And they say that this was not part of the original agreement. It's causing a lot of friction.
They're not allowing us to get a public service that we have a right to as taxpayers. So really holding us hostage, strong arming us through coercion, because it's Mount Pleasant's goal to annex from the Ravenel Bridge all the way to McClintonville into the town. And obviously they have a partner in crime, Mount Pleasant Waterworks, which is a separate entity, and they're choosing to help uphold that ordinance.
Town of Mount Pleasant ordinance that says you must annex to receive sewer service. But the Snowden community says that they thought the deposits and easements were an agreement to ensure sewer without annexation. Now the community says that the sewer lines will run through their community to service the Town of Mount Pleasant residents, but they can't benefit from those sewer lines unless they annex. So we've been reaching out to Mount Pleasant Waterworks since Friday, and they have declined the opportunity to be interviewed. However, there is a meeting happening here at 5:30 tonight at their headquarters. I will be at that meeting and will bring you any updates and any details about this as they are given at the meeting. Reporting live in Mount Pleasant, Taylor Murray, Count on 2.
A good update to a story we have been following closely. Taylor, thank you. It is time now to speak with Storm Team 2's Chief Meteorologist, Rob Fowler. Rob, an absolutely beautiful day. How long will it stay?
What a great way to start spring break for a lot of local school systems. A lot of you headed out to Folly Beach. Take a look at that. The beach is packed with beachgoers, blue skies. What a fantastic background. It is a little bit on the cool side, but really still feeling pretty good. Speaking of feeling good, right now around the region we go, we'll see temperatures ranging from the low 70s as we head back out towards Monk's Corner to 74 Edisto Beach. Folly Beach says 75, probably a little cooler than that, 70 over in Walterboro. So it's time to walk the dog, and as we do, let's say happy birthday to Eddie. Thanks to Maddie McElveen for sending this in, as it is Eddie's birthday. So here's your forecast, Eddie, for tonight. 5 o'clock, 73. Will be around 67 by 7 o'clock, and we'll dip into the low 60s and clear skies at 9 o'clock tonight. So happy birthday, Eddie. Enjoy that birthday walk.
Rob and David, thank you. Don't forget, you can always stay on top of your forecast 24/7 by downloading the Storm Team 2 app. You can find it in the App Store. Just search WCBD. Today is tax day, and that means it is officially the last day to file your taxes or ask for an extension without facing penalties or fees. And whether you filed or not, you may want to listen up, because there are important steps you should take to make sure you are good to go. If you have already filed your taxes this year, remember to keep a copy of your returns along with the documentation you used to prepare the returns. If you haven't filed, now is the time to file for an extension online. You'll have to do so by midnight today to avoid those late fees and penalties. We spoke with an accountant who says it's important to show the IRS you are trying to be compliant.
The best advice I can give you is to take a look at the forms or go onto one of these sites for tax preparation and just try to estimate. If you don't have all your information yet, try to estimate based on the information that you do. The IRS wants you to make a reasonable estimate. That is, you've got to put a little bit of effort into it when you're filing for your extension. If you just file zeros, they don't have to accept it.
This year, it's especially important to pay close attention to changes in the tax code and the forms you use. Spade says the tax reform has impacted everyone, whether you realize it or not.
Next on News 2.
Senator Hollings left a legacy across the state. We zone in on his impact right here in the Low Country and take a look at the Hollings Cancer Center. Plus, we're always talking about DNA kits with friends and family, but can one test change your life? We hear that story coming up after the break. We continue our coverage of late Senator Ernest Fritz Hollings, who's currently lying in state. News 2's Brendan Clark is in Columbia now at the State House. And Brendan, Senator Hollings left an incredible legacy here in Charleston.
Oh, in so many different ways, Sophia. He will lie in state until 5 o'clock here at the State House in Columbia. But yes, he left such a legacy in so many different reasons. A big one was his namesake, the Cancer Center, the Hollings Cancer Center. News 2's Deanne Roberts tells us how he impacted healthcare.
Senator Ernest Fritz Hollings' tireless efforts to ensure South Carolinians had access to high-quality health care is one of his many legacies that will live on forever.
Senator Hollings was instrumental in setting up the Hollings Cancer Center, which is really critical for taking care of all the cancer patients in South Carolina.
Named after the senator, the Hollings Cancer Center is one of only 70 National Cancer Institute designated cancer centers in the nation. Senator Hollings worked to secure the funding that was needed to establish the center, collaborating with MUSC leaders, attracting some of the world's best physicians and researchers. He also spent years working to ensure federal investments in biomedical research was available.
And I believe we owe much of what has happened to date to Senator Hollings.
Not to mention, he also helped create the community health care program, which allows poor and underserved areas to receive medical care. The Cancer Center says they will continue carrying out the senator's vision to provide top-notch and affordable health care in South Carolina. Deanne Roberts reporting, Count on 2.
Yeah, thank you, Deanne. So much you did when it came to helping the state, when it came to poverty, education, as you just heard, healthcare as well. We are here in Columbia. Coming up a little later on the show, we're going to hear from some of the people that knew him best. Senator Lindsey Graham, former Charleston Mayor Joe Riley calls him one of the best senators this state has ever seen. In Columbia, I'm Brendan Clark. Sophia, back to you.
We'll be looking forward to that, Brendan. Thank you. We are turning our attention now to weather with Rob Fowler and a very special guest.
This is Finn Carlin. Finn goes to, I'll say, Wando High School.
Yes,
and
sir.
Your dad bid on an auction item. You got to do the weather with us. And Finn, welcome to News 2. You're going to help me with the weather.
Yes, sir.
So tell us about what's on the docket for you after Wando High School.
Well, right now after Wando, I plan on attending the University of South Carolina. I'll be attending the School of Journalism, Mass Communications as a broadcast journalism major.
Pretty impressive. Very exciting stuff coming up in your future.
Well, we're going to put him to work right now, all right? Well, we're going to do the weather together. Let's see what's going on. Finn, we'll head over to the maps, and I'll let you kind of pop in for the forecast in a moment. Let's get you started with Shem Creek. Right now, the temperature is 74 degrees, looking fantastic, as you could certainly see. What a great Monday it turned out to be, and we're not done yet. How about this? A sunny and pleasant Tuesday. 80s, though, returning on Wednesday. It's actually going to warm up. Now we look at another chance of rain late week with a cooler weekend. We've got Easter coming up as well. We still do need some rain. We know we're running a surplus for the month of April, 2.5 inches in the gauge. That's 1 inch or so above normal. But still for the year, we're about 6 inches down, and that means we still have moderate drought conditions for us across the area. We thought we'd get more rain this weekend. It did not materialize. Radar looking fantastic, as you could certainly see, after getting at least some scattered showers and thunderstorms across the region this weekend. There goes that storm, that cold front that came on through. The rain is gone, the cooler weather coming in on the other side, high pressure, and we're getting that northerly flow. Eventually, we're going to shift that around more to a southerly flow. You're going to see that in our forecast model. So we're going north as we head out the door tomorrow morning. Then eventually those winds shift more out of the south and southeast, and that means a milder flow coming in. So we're going to invite Finn. Come on over, Finn. I'm going to hand you the official clicker. Here it is, my friend. And you take it away. Tell us the rest of the forecast.
All right, Rob. Well, tonight we have a 50 inland with 53 on the beaches. If you're looking to take a walk on the beach tonight, it would be a better night to do it because there'll be low chance of rain. Taking a look at the rest of the week. You'll see Tuesday you'll have a 0% chance, 75 high. So for my Wando seniors out there, if you're looking to get out a little early, tomorrow will be a best day to do it. Wednesday will be mostly sunny as well. It'll be warmer than Tuesday with a high of 83. Looking over to Thursday, you might have some late showers, and then kicking off your Easter weekend. You'll have some thunderstorms that are likely on Friday. On Saturday, it'll be partly cloudy, and on Sunday, it should be a pretty warm morning to kick off the Easter. Looking forward to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Monday will also be a pretty warm day. Same with Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, with thunderstorms looking possible Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, come on over here, Finn.
Right.
We'll talk about the beach forecast. And as you hit the button one more time, we'll show you that the beach forecast not bad. We'll see those temperatures in the low 70s and then mid 70s Wednesday all the way through the rest of the week. We'll keep an eye on Friday, that chance of rain. Finn, well done, man.
Thank you
done.
so much.
Rob, you may be out of a job if Finn keeps practicing a little.
So that's your first experience live on TV. What do you think?
Well, it's definitely a change of pace from what I do over at Tribe Talk. Shout out to Tribe Talk at Wando High School.
Go Tribe Talk.
Yes, sir. So there we do more, we do a few takes, mess up a few times, and then...
we mess up too,
But when the pressure's on, it all works out, and you did a wonderful job.
Exactly.
So we're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Finn. Well
it.
done. And tell
Thank you
everybody
very much.
Wando hello.
All right. Hello to everyone at Wando High School.
And now, why don't you throw in the traffic? David, here's traffic.
I'll take it from there. Let's take a look over at the Don Holt 526. Starting to see a slowdown in those westbound lanes. That's really to be expected, though, at this time of day. As we can see, it's actually really causing some slowdowns all the way past the Clements Ferry exit, all the way to the Don Holt, even close to that 526 connector. But that's really to be expected. As we're heading over west all the way into 17, Savannah Highway not doing too bad, a bit of a slowdown as we head over Johns Island. Last check on the Ravenel, doing pretty good, and we'll take a look how that's doing in my next traffic report.
Next on News 2.
DNA kits, what your friends and family are giving away as gifts, but you may be hesitant to submit your DNA to one of the companies. We go through what you can find through these kits. But first, let's go and check in with News 2's Carolyn Murray to see what she's working on in the newsroom. Good afternoon, Carolyn.
Sophia, good afternoon. We are continuing our coverage of the life and legacy of former governor and state senator Fritz Hollings. Coming up, we take a look back at Hollings' time at the Citadel, and we'll have more from today's observance that happened in Columbia. And Mount Pleasant's single-use plastic bag ban goes into effect tomorrow. We'll tell you what you need to know about that. Plus, this year marks 30 years since Hurricane Hugo made landfall in the Lowcountry. How this storm impacted Berkeley County, coming up at 5.
DNA kits. You might have received one as a Christmas or birthday present, but you may be hesitant to submit your DNA. News 2's Olivia Parsons sat down with a woman here in the Lowcountry who practices the hobby and made connections right in her own community.
Imagine having this woman look up your family tree and then you find out you've had a cousin living here all along. Well, just listen to her story.
Jennifer McElveen researches DNA. She's practiced this hobby for the last 10 years.
You don't know what you are going to uncover, but to me that's the fun, the finding the mysteries.
She started this journey to learn more about her and her husband's heritage.
We're all immigrants, you know, in America, but to find out how much of an immigrant you are, like mine was German, French, Scandinavian.
But over the years, she's helped friends learn more about their family's history too, sometimes taking months to dig through online records.
And you have to research every possibility when you're trying to find a mystery DNA connection to someone.
Some people come to McElveen knowing they have some sort of DNA mystery. Others have been surprised to find out information they didn't think was possible.
And they might be a good discovery and others are painful.
Something McElveen experienced herself while researching a close friend Amy Wingo's DNA.
Surprise! We're related!
A girl from South Carolina and a girl from Massachusetts, both living here in the Lowcountry, and through the grapevine, are 16th cousins.
So there was a gentleman on the Mayflower, and he had 2 children, a son and a daughter.
John Hopkins, right?
Yep. And she is a descendant of the daughter, and I'm a direct descendant of the son.
It's surprises like these that keep her on her toes.
I learn so much from it, so I do it because I love it.
And wanting to learn more about how we're traced back to our roots.
McElveen is actually currently putting together my family tree. She says this makes her feel like she's a private investigator, but always loves to learn new information. For now, reporting in studio, Olivia Parsons, Count on 2.
Next on News 2.
A pretty cool story. Olivia, thank you. Coming up after the break, Senator Lindsey Graham remembers late Senator Hollings with words from the Senate floor. But before we go, we want to take a look at what's trending on our WCBD app. A catastrophic fire engulfs Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. 2 ECU students killed, 2 injured after a crash in South Carolina, and a Goose Creek daycare response to a lawsuit claiming a baby suffered a fractured sternum. Stay with us.
Stay in the know on the go with the News 2 app, sponsored by Amnesty Health Group.
Rob, thank you. We are following breaking news out of Paris right now as the wooden interior of Notre Dame is in flames. A massive fire is engulfing the roof of the cathedral. The cause of that blaze isn't yet known, but experts suspect it's the renovations that were going on that might have caused it. Barry Arden, who saw the flames shooting from the roof of the ancient cathedral, gives us the very latest from Paris.
Flames shot from the roof of the centuries-old cathedral, and a smoke plume rose that could be seen for miles. The fire quickly engulfed the spire, which collapsed. Then the roof. The disastrous blaze also sent ash pouring onto tourists in the area. The mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, said on Twitter that Paris firefighters tried to contain the fire. She urged Paris citizens to stay away. French media quoted the Paris Fire Brigade, saying the fire might be linked to a multi-million-dollar renovation underway on the spire. Notre Dame was built in the 12th century and attracts millions of tourists every year. The sight of the historic cathedral in the heart of Paris in flames, hard for many to comprehend. French President Emmanuel Macron canceled the planned address to the nation because of the fire and headed to the scene. His message to the French people on Twitter, Notre Dame de Paris in flames. Like all our compatriots, I'm sad tonight to see this part of us burn. Barry Arendt, NBC News.
We continue to honor the late Senator Ernest Fritz Hollings across South Carolina, but senators in Washington are also honoring him. We go now to News 2's anchor Brendan Clark, who is at the State House with Hollings lying in state right now. Brendan, what can you tell us?
Well, Sophia, he'll be lying in state for another 30 minutes or so before they bring him out and back to Charleston for the funeral tomorrow. Been just over a week since the 97-year-old former U.S. Senator and South Carolina governor passed. And we've spoken to so many people in that time that talk about the kind of person he was, the kind of leader he was. And one of those people was another U.S. Senator, Lindsey Graham. Now, Lindsey Graham told us that nobody enjoyed their job more than Senator Ernest Fritz Hollings, and nobody was better at it. He moved mountains when it came to protecting the environment, crafting and affirming cornerstone coastal and ocean legislation. We're talking about things like Coastal Zone Management Act, the Marine Mammal Protection Act, the Oceans Dumping Act, and the Sustainable Fisheries Act. Here's what Senator Graham had to say about Fritz.
He's one of the great environmentalists of our time. The Ace Basin in South Carolina is a beautiful place along the coast where three major rivers come together, and it was Senator Hollings who established that, now and forever to be preserved.
And coming up a little later on News 2 at 4 o'clock, Sophia, we're going to hear from former Charleston Mayor Joe Riley. I sat down with him and had a wonderful talk about what Fritz Hollings meant to him. He grew up with him. He was younger, certainly, than Fritz Hollings was, but they went to the Citadel and they experienced that together, leadership skills, things like that. We'll talk to Mayor Joe about what he thinks about Fritz and the legacy that he leaves behind. In Columbia, I'm Brendan Clark. Sophia, back to you.
Brendan, thanks so much. We are looking forward to it. If you notice someone walking around your property, measuring the ditches and gathering information about stormwater, it may be someone sent out by Berkeley County. News 2's Berkeley County reporter Raymond Owens has a look at why they're out there and what they're doing.
Berkeley County is in that process of trying to do an inventory of their current stormwater situation. The work began today. Some crews were already in the Pinopolis area. The inventory of the stormwater management system is conducted to meet requirements of the EPA and DHEC. The data collected will include features related to the drain system, including manholes, inlets, pipes, culverts, ponds, channels, and outfalls to creeks and streams throughout the county. Hanahan and Goose Creek are high priority areas. They're trying to get an update on much of the older stormwater infrastructure in the area. All of the people should be either an employee of the county or their contractor, AECom.
If you see somebody on your property, there'll be a crew, should be able to identify themselves, and they'll have a letter with them to show that they're with the county conducting this work. They may be out on weekends, so be cognizant and aware of that as well.
This inventory continues through June the 30th. In Monk's Corner, I'm Raymond Owens. Count on 2.
The Dorchester County Sales Tax Authority has been working to pave hundreds of miles of dirt roads using the money generated from the penny sales tax. News 2's Dorchester County reporter shows us how some of your tax dollars are being used this year to improve those roads.
This road, Hickory Nut Drive, is one of the dirt roads in Dorchester County that's being improved this year using money generated by the penny sales tax. Starting tomorrow, they'll begin paving this road and a few other ones. It's part of an effort that the county sales tax authority has been working on for the last few years to try to pave some of these roads to make it easier to get around. The Dorchester County Sales Tax Transportation Authority has been working since 2004 on dozens of different road projects, including each year trying to pave some of the county's 250 miles of dirt roads.
A lot of them are farm-to-market roads that turned into family neighborhoods. And what we're trying to do is help them, because they're part of our list and they're part of our program, to get them in and get them a road.
They've now paved about 70% of those dirt roads, and this year they're working on 5 more of them near Harleyville, St. George, and the town of Dorchester. They're selected based on how many people live on or near the road, the cost to improve it, impacts to wetlands, and whether or not residents will allow the use of their property to widen the road. And Mike tells me that the 4 county roads should be done being paved by the end of this year. In Dorchester County, Stetson Miller, Count on 2.
Thank you, Stetson. It is time now to take a look at some of the big stories from around the country trending on our website, counton2.com. Two former fraternity brothers connected to the death of a Penn State pledge were sentenced today. The two former Beta Theta Pi brothers pled guilty to their involvement in the death of Timothy Piazza in February of 2017. Piazza sustained serious injuries and did not receive medical help until hours after giving multiple drinks during an invitation event. The two were sentenced to a 9-month program that includes house arrest. Several others fraternity members have already been sentenced. The 123rd Boston Marathon kicked off today. It's the first time the event fell on the same day when the bombings occurred back in 2013. More than 1 million people are expected to attend the 26.2-mile marathon in spite of rainy and cool conditions. A memorial is growing for the 5-year-old who was thrown from the 3rd floor of the Mall of America on Friday. A makeshift vigil was set up at the mall in honor of the little boy who was dropped nearly 40 feet and is still hospitalized. Police say a stranger is the person who threw the 5-year-old off that balcony. The person is now jailed on suspicion of attempted homicide charge. Actress Lori Loughlin and her husband are pleading not guilty in the college admissions bribery scam. This morning, she and her husband waived their right to a court appearance for an arraignment. Loughlin and Gionelli are charged with paying $500,000 to get their daughters into the University of Southern California as crew recruits.
Next on News 2.
Could eating before bed affect your sleep? We have that answer next in our To Your Health report. Stay with us.
To Your Health, sponsored by Low Country Orthopedics.
We all know the feeling of waking up in the morning and feeling irritable or groggy. News 2's Carolyn Murray may have an explanation as to why. Carolyn, what's the answer?
Well, Sophia, it's something top experts say we need to understand. What we eat before we go to bed or before we go to sleep may affect the quality of our sleep.
For some people, when the clock strikes midnight, it's time to count sheep. But for others, their stomach tells them otherwise.
I am a snacker, so I'll get up in the middle of the night and I'll eat ice cream or I'll eat chocolate or something, and I'll just go back to bed.
For Dan, there are consequences.
Once I fell asleep, I'd have trouble staying asleep, and I would notice that I would have unusually vivid dreams once I finally got to sleep.
Dan says he usually doesn't remember his dreams the morning after.
It would be alternate reality, almost, sort of thing. So it would almost be like it happened a different way in my dream compared to how it happened in real life.
So is the late night bite to blame? Dr. Glenn Adams says yes and no.
If you eat foods that are sugary sweet drinks or desserts and stuff like that, those tend to decrease the production of serotonin.
A mood-relaxing hormone essential for a good night's sleep.
If you have caffeine, a piece of chocolate ice cream, something like that, and the caffeine is upsetting your sleep, then you may not be sleeping quite as well. You're going to be more likely to remember your dreams. Typically, the dreams we remember are the dreams we wake up from.
Instead, opt for foods high in melatonin, such as berries.
Stuff that has tryptophan in it: turkey, chicken, milk.
But if a nighttime dessert or cup of joe doesn't disrupt your sleep?
If I sleep through the night, I feel just as good with or without the caffeine. It's probably not playing a role. But for him, if he has the chocolate and it bothers him, don't do it, like Henny Youngman might have said.
So if you find that you are a little hungry right before you go to bed, make sure that you speak with your doctor about some healthy options. In studio reporting, Carolyn Murray, Count on 2.
Senator Ernest Fritz Hollings has left his legacy across the Palmetto State and with lawmakers. News 2's anchor Brendan Clark is live in Columbia now. And Brendan, you actually got the chance to speak to Hollings' lifetime friend, former Mayor Joe Riley, about his legacy, what he'd have to say.
Yeah, I sure did, Sophia. And I'll tell you what, when Mayor Joe Riley says someone else is the best at their job, that is high praise when it comes from Joe Riley. But that's exactly what he said about Ernest Fritz Hollings, is the way he led as a U.S. Senator and as governor of the state of South Carolina. Had a great time sitting down with Mayor Riley earlier this week, talking about the legacy of Fritz Hollings. Of course, they're both Citadel graduates. Fritz went a little earlier, obviously, than Mayor Riley. Served in World War II, won the bronze medal for his service in World War II. And those leadership skills like that he learned in places like the Citadel and fighting the war, that he learned to lead our state and help our state. Here's a little bit of what Joe Riley had to say about Fritz Hollings.
Fighting the good fight wasn't enough for Fritz Hollings. It was getting it done. It was winning. That was his spirit. He never quit. He never gave up. If he had a goal, he was going to work until it got accomplished for our community, for our state, and for our country.
And in his 38 years as a U.S. Senator, he certainly did accomplish so much, fighting poverty here in this state, working for education, among other things. His legacy will run deep in this state of South Carolina. Certainly a junior senator, though, as he served alongside Republican Senator Strom Thurmond for so many years. Although he had seniority almost all his colleagues, he was still a junior senator up there in Washington. He is lying in state until 5 o'clock tonight. We expect Senator Fritz Hollings to be brought down and brought back to Charleston here shortly within the next 20 minutes. Sophia, back to you.
Great hearing from former Mayor Joe Riley. Brendan, thank you. Today is not just a busy day for the state, and not to mention it's also tax day, but today is a busy day historically. On this day, 107 years ago, the Titanic sunk where 1,500 passengers and crew died in 1912. In 1865, President Abraham Lincoln died after assassinator John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln in the head as he watched a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. Today in 1947, Hall of Famer Jackie Robinson stepped onto the field as the first African-American player in the major leagues in baseball when he suited up for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And in 1923, insulin became available for diabetics. Thank you for joining us on News 2 at 4. That's all the time we have. Let's go ahead and check in with News 2's Carolyn Murray for a look at what she has in store for us coming up on News 2 at 5 o'clock. Carolyn?
Sophia, thank you. Looking ahead to News 2 at 5, we are continuing our coverage of the final journey of U.S. Senator Ernest Fritz Hollings. We have live reports coming from Columbia. Plus, we are following breaking news out of Paris as Notre Dame Cathedral burns. These stories and more coming up in just a few minutes on News 2 at 5.